Hello and welcome to YouTube Gallifrey02. In this video I'm going to be telling you the story of how I became a Whovian. This takes place from 2005 to the present day, telling you my story of how my Doctor Who knowledge and my Doctor Who obsession grew. So without further ado, enjoy! So for this story, we are going way back, almost 12 years ago now, to March 2005, when Doctor Who was finally revived to our television screens. It was a big TV event, everyone was talking about it, the papers were going crazy about Doctor Who's return. So a week after its revival episode, my parents had heard about the news. I was only 3 years old at the time, so I do not have any memory of it whatsoever. However, I remember my sister being scared by the end of the world, the first ever Doctor Who episode I watched. Don't remember the episode, but I remember my sister being scared. But the episode isn't scary at all in my opinion. It's only a big piece of skin and some blue little aliens. Nothing scary, nothing special, but it was the first ever Doctor Who episode I watched, which is a milestone. Don't remember it at all. But yeah, my parents enjoyed it, my sister wanted to be scared again, so they continued watching it with me, without me remembering it. I don't know what I was doing, I was probably asleep, right up until The Empty Child. Now The Empty Child was a point when the really young Doctor Who viewers, like my sister and me at the time, were really scared. They were really scared of it. Loads of kids were scared. They didn't watch Doctor Who again after this episode because it was so scary, The Empty Child. And some adults are scared of The Empty Child, but it must have been so scary for my sister and other kids all over the country. So after The Empty Child, the Doctor Who viewing figures dropped. And yeah, that was the end of Doctor Who in my household for quite a while. It was never watched religiously again, I would say, until 2010. But we'll come to that in a minute. So, fast forwarding to 2006, when The Age of Steel is on the television at my grandparents' house. I remember watching this. This is my first ever memory of Doctor Who. All I remember really is the factory blowing up, and I think I kind of made those memories up because my dad told me, "Oh, do you remember when the Cybermen factory blew up?" And yeah, I went, yeah, I kind of made up that memory. But I did actually watch it because there is a photo of my sister with a cushion over her face. So yeah, I do remember watching it, and I was definitely there watching The Age of Steel. However, that didn't bring Doctor Who back in my household. We need to go forward again to Christmas 2007, which isn't really a revival of Doctor Who in my household, but it's the first time I really expressed an interest in Doctor Who. When I was 5 years old, I got these Cybermen slippers. Now what you did is you just walked around, every step you took, they said delete. Yeah, they were really annoying. Eventually I grew out of them. They went to a charity shop somewhere, and I never saw those slippers again. The most annoying slippers in the world. So yeah, that didn't revive Doctor Who in my household. However, it made me be a bit intrigued about Doctor Who because I asked about the Cybermen, and my dad explained that they were half robots, half humans, because, of course, my dad watched it in the 70s and 80s when he was younger. Then we go forward to mid-2008. No, I wasn't watching Series 4 of Doctor Who at this point. However, there was someone down the street from me who had made this Dalek costume, and he was going around the street squirting people with water because the exterminator was a water pistol, and he was shooting loads of kids who went down to see the Dalek, get pictures with the Dalek. And yeah, I also got a picture of the Dalek, and I wanted him to squirt me. I wanted to be exterminated. I pretty much wanted to die. That's what I did, really. And yeah, that made me have a further interest in Doctor Who. My dad told me that it would return Christmas 2008, so I was looking forward to it. Then we go to Christmas 2008. The next Doctor is on TV. This is the first time I remember really being excited for Doctor Who. This is the first time I was excited for a Doctor Who episode because I really wanted to see the Cybermen, and I hoped the Daleks would be in it, but they weren't. So the next Doctor was on. I remember this episode quite clearly. I remember the Cyber King. I remember the Cybermen in the graveyard full of snow. So memorable, and I've only ever come back to this episode once. There is so much nostalgia holding me back, and I think if I'll watch it again, it will kind of ruin my childhood memories a bit, so I'm not going to watch it in a while. So yeah, my Doctor Who obsession has kind of begun. Now, moving on to 2009. So, 2009, possibly the year which got me in to Doctor Who, and this is all because of the Sarah Jane adventures. So, Easter 2009, I missed out Planet of the Dead for some in particular reason. I do not have any idea of what it was. It was probably because I was busy at the time doing something with my family. So I missed out Planet of the Dead, didn't watch that until 2013, near the time of the 50th anniversary special. So yeah, fast forwarding to June 2009, I was watching the CBBC channel in the morning, and an episode of Sarah Jane Adventures was on. It was Day of the Clown, Part 1. And yeah, I was fascinated by Day of the Clown. It was so nostalgic and so amazing. Also, like the next Doctor, I don't really want to go back to Day of the Clown because I think it will ruin my memories of it originally. But yeah, Day of the Clown, I was so terrified of this episode. It was so scary. And yeah, brilliant in my opinion, and it still haunts me to this day with the little clown puppet moving in Sarah Jane's nightmare. Just so creepy, Day of the Clown, and it really does stick in my mind. So after Day of the Clown, I watched the rest of the CBBC repeats because they were on every day of the rest of the episodes for Series 2. There was a Sarah Jane Day where they repeated every single episode of Series 1. Watched every episode, and yeah, thought the Sarah Jane Adventures was brilliant. I loved the Sarah Jane Adventures. Really looking forward to the third series, which came out in October. About August though, August 2009, I was in HMV and I saw this, the oldest surviving item in my Doctor Who memorabilia. Yeah, it's the Sarah Jane Adventures Doctor Who spin-off, but yeah, the first ever item in my Doctor Who collection is in my hands right now. And yeah, I love the Sarah Jane Adventures Invasion of the Bane. Such a good start to the Sarah Jane Adventures, and I love it. So yeah, October 2009, the Sarah Jane Adventures Series 3 begins. I knew the Sarah Jane Adventures was a Doctor Who spin-off because my dad had explained that Sarah Jane used to travel with the Doctor. He told me about Torchwood being an adult Doctor Who spin-off. And yeah, really wanted to watch Doctor Who, but the Sarah Jane Adventures Series 3 was on first. So I watched Prisoner of the Jadoon, Mad Woman in the Attic, and then it came to the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. Possibly one of the most amazing things I have ever seen. It sticks in my mind so much, the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith, as it was the first time I really ever saw the Doctor in action. Yes, I saw the Doctor in action in The Next Doctor, some episodes of Series 1 and the Age of Steel, but this was really the first time I had ever seen the Doctor fight an enemy, because with The Next Doctor I kind of only remember the Cyberman and the Cyber King. This was the first time I actually remember the Doctor in action, and it really does stick in my mind, the Sarah Jane Adventures episode, The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. So nostalgic, and I haven't come back to this episode either. Come back to it once or twice, but I've never really come back to it, as I think it will ruin my childhood memories of this story. So yeah, I watched the other few episodes of Sarah Jane Adventures Series 3. Then it comes to November 29th, 2009. The Waters of Mars is on our television screens. This is the beginning of my Doctor Who streak, which has been running since The Waters of Mars right up until the return of Doctor Mysterio. Haven't missed an episode since then, and watched every single episode. So The Waters of Mars, I was absolutely terrified of this episode. Yeah, I have come back to this episode about 1,000,000 times because it is so brilliant. Nostalgia isn't holding me back from this episode like the Next Doctor, Day of the Clown, The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. This is just really amazing, The Waters of Mars. Absolutely brilliant, really terrified of it. And yeah, really fascinated by Mars. I was more fascinated by Mars than the Flood and the Doctor, because I was obsessed with space at the time. And yeah, really interested by The Waters of Mars. Christmas 2009, The End of Time Part 1 is on. Now my Doctor Who obsession has really begun now, because I was talking about Doctor Who all the time now. I wasn't really forgetting about it. I was watching it, and I was a religious viewer of Doctor Who. Now, it was officially back in my household, and this was the start of when Doctor Who, my obsession, started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So The End of Time Part 1, watched that, watched The End of Time Part 2, fascinated by the regeneration. I knew it was coming because I had seen a clip from Planet of the Spiders on the Sarah Jane Adventures Invasion of the Bane bonus feature of when the Third Doctor regenerates into the Fourth Doctor. So yeah, that was the first bit of classic Who I ever watched. But we have to go forward a bit further to 2010, when Series 5 begins. So 2010, Series 5 begins. Matt Smith's era as the Doctor officially begins with the 11th hour. I was really looking forward to this episode, and it is so special and in my heart forever. The 11th hour, such an excellent episode, and this really got me into Doctor Who, as this episode felt so fresh, a lot fresher than David Tennant episodes I watched. And yeah, I was absolutely amazed by the 11th hour, and yeah, from the 11th hour onwards, I've been a regular Doctor Who watcher. So for the remainder of this video, I'm not going to discuss every single Doctor Who episode I watched. I'm going to discuss what happened because of me watching Doctor Who, such as collecting, such as being obsessed. So, 2011. About March 2011, I started collecting the Doctor Who Adventures magazine. Now, the Doctor Who Adventures magazine, yeah, it's pretty bad now. It doesn't teach me anything about Doctor Who anymore. However, back then, it taught me so much about Doctor Who, and the issues were really special to me. I don't have the original issue which I first bought. However, it did teach me a lot, and yeah, it really got me into Doctor Who a lot more than just being a regular watcher of Doctor Who. Also in 2011, I started collecting Doctor Who figures. One figure I collected was this Dalek Paradigm Yellow Dalek. And yeah, collected all 5 Daleks, don't know where the other ones are, but yeah, really like these Daleks, which I collected. Also collected this Matt Smith figure, and the first ever Doctor Who book I got is The Claws of the Matra, the first ever Doctor Who book I got, and it is absolutely amazing. Read it so many times, and yeah, it is brilliant in my opinion. Another first item in my Doctor Who collection, which I also got in 2011, will be the Series 5 in volumes. Don't have the volumes anymore, have the box set, however. And yeah, also sticks in my heart, those box sets. So, fast forwarding to 2013, the 50th anniversary special of Doctor Who. By this point, I had watched all 4 series of Doctor Who before Series 5. And yeah, I'd watched every episode of New Who by now, and the 50th anniversary aired, found it brilliant. And yeah, after this, I thought to myself, what's next? What is next? Well, on the Horror Channel, they were repeats of Classic Who, and I started watching Classic Who in 2013, and I found it absolutely brilliant. Classic Who watched so many good stories such as Inferno, which I now have on DVD, and yeah, other stories, some which I don't have on DVD, such as Planet of the Spiders, and yeah, absolutely amazed by all these classic episodes which I watched up until Series 8 of Doctor Who. Series 8 was brilliant. At Series 8 triggered WhoTube Gallifrey 02. However, it wasn't called WhoTube Gallifrey 02 then. I named it Doctor Who Channel. Yes, what an original name for a Doctor Who YouTube channel. So yeah, started uploading little trailers and stuff like that. Not many remain up until this day. However, my channel evolved over time up until this day and turned into WhoTube Gallifrey 02, and has led me to doing this. Met so many great people while YouTubing, and yeah, it has really grown my channel since it began in 2014. Now, Christmas 2014 is the beginning of me collecting Doctor Who DVDs, where I got the beginning box set, which contains The Edge of Destruction, The Daleks, and An Unearthly Child, the first ever classic Doctor Who DVDs I got. And throughout 2015 and 16, and still to this day, I have been collecting classic Doctor Who DVDs. So yeah, my collection has grown. My obsession with Doctor Who is always growing. I have been, in 2016 alone, I learnt so much more about Doctor Who. I learnt about Big Finish. I learnt about all the fantastic adventures of books. I started collecting Target books. And yeah, my Doctor Who knowledge has really grown in 2016 and in 17 of Doctor Who, as well as before that. And yeah, it's been a good story. And this is the story of how I became a Whovian and how my Doctor Who collection and knowledge and obsession has grown since 2005. So hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next time, goodbye, and subscribe for more amazing content from WhoTube Gallifrey 02.